So that's it. End of the first season. I'm overwhelmed by the response and how incredible this journey has been. And I did consider what I was going to say today because I really wanted to round up the season and share my thoughts. And I was going to write notes down. And then I sat there and I thought, no, you've got to speak from the heart. I am passionate about honesty and integrity and authenticity and all those kind of great buzzwords. I talk about it a lot in the work that I do. And so I'm going to share my thoughts completely scriptless. This could be a disaster. I could forget key points, but I'm going to do it anyway. So here goes. Roundup of season 1. First of all, I actually have to thank the guests that trusted me to share their stories with the world. And it does take an awful lot for somebody to go, okay, I'll come and have a conversation with you, unknown person. But I hope that the concept of the show was something that engaged people. The idea of the midlife entrepreneur is really that I want to motivate and inspire people to recognize that they have opportunity at any age. That's the purpose, really. And that there are so many people out there who have great ideas or have a passion that they want to follow or want to serve people in different ways. And for whatever reason in their lives, it just hasn't been possible. And what this show demonstrates is that whether it was an opportunity that came to you or you were shoved off a cliff, like so many people are at certain ages from redundancy or job loss, you can still go for it. I mentioned in one of the episodes, I can't remember which one, that if you're sitting at around 45 years old, you've got about the same number of years of career ahead of you than you've already had. But this is the big thing to recognize, is that you've got all this experience behind you. That is a blessing and a curse, can I just say? The blessing is you know so much. You've built a network. You have contacts you can draw on, and you understand how business works. It can also be a curse because it can be the thing that holds you back, because you know how things should be done and because you know how people operate. Your sense of fear, judgment, and all those things are higher. They're more intense. And that maybe creates that voice in your head that says, oh God, don't ask them, they're too busy, or don't do that because that's not how you should do it, or you've got to perfect this before you share it with the world. But a lot of that stuff is just bullshit. It's just that voice in our head. We are the things that get in our own way. And I've really realized that when I stepped out of my career, age 47, and I was shoved out of that career during COVID, and it was a difficult time for sure. I really wanted to find the next thing in my life that wasn't just me on the treadmill, fear-driven, doing the thing that provides me with the money and the security, or in inverted commas, security. I wanted to do a thing that I could do well into my 60s and 70s, right? I wanted to do something that would make me feel good about myself and would make me feel like I am contributing to the world in one way or another. I wanted to do something to help people. Now, I've always been inspired by women and women's stories and women's journeys, and I've always held very close to my heart this idea that we can all lift each other up. And that's why I became a coach. And that's why I try and advocate for women and women's success and successful transitions through their career. That's what I do. And so this show is really born out of that as well. But also I started a business. I stepped out by myself and it's frigging terrifying. And so part of this is that I wanted to speak to other people who'd done the same thing and get their insights, hear from the things that they've done that have worked really well, hear about the things that haven't worked so well, understand what they needed to propel them through the journey of entrepreneurship. So that's part of the reason why I did the show. Season 1 has been amazing. I've learned so much from the guests, who are first and foremost the most important thing about the show. They make the show. But I've learned so much about producing and editing and organizing, and I've learned so many different tech platforms you can't imagine. And it's taking up a lot of time. This is a hobby. But it's been an amazing journey and I feel fulfilled by doing it. I've got lots of thank yous if you don't mind me sharing them with you, and I think it's important for me to share them. I'd like to thank Juliet Fallowfield. I bought her podcasting course I did the course with her. She was amazing. Just talked me through the whole process step by step. I would not have been able to create this podcast without that support, that help. But beyond that, she's incredibly supportive, encouraged me every step of the way, and really allowed me to go on this journey, and was really patient, actually, I should say. More importantly, she was really patient when I was WhatsApping her at 11:30 at night saying, I hate this platform, I can't use it. You'll be okay, you'll get there in the end, she kept saying. And I did, and so I'm grateful for that support massively. I'd like to thank 8 Club, 8 Members Club in Moorgate, and 8 Works. 8 Works is a brand new part of 8 Members Club. And in 8 Works, there are 2 fantastic podcast studios. I have been granted access to one of them, which is where I am today. It's a fully fitted out luxury. I'm going to say it's luxury because it's really beautiful podcast studio. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank Jo Glynn-Smith, an amazing photographer and an incredible support in my life, who has really encouraged me and just doesn't let me give up. I'm super grateful for that. And he's taken some amazing pictures. Of course, he would, because he's an amazing photographer. But he's helped me put the lighting in the studio. He's helped me so much. So thanks, Johnny. I couldn't have done it without you. We had this thing at the end called the 3-2-1. So 3 things you're really glad you invested in, 2 things you wish you'd done differently, and 1 person you'd like to thank. And each guest left those insights. So in the show notes, you'll find all those at the end of each episode. They're really useful. My takeaways from those, and from the 8 people that I've spoken to, were that the strongest theme was definitely get the right people around you. Get the right team, or the right consultants, or the right support. We need support. If you're going to start a business, stepping out of corporate life potentially, or you're stepping into work for the first time in many years, if you're going back into the workplace, you're going to need support. Don't try and do everything yourself. You can't do it. You have skills and you have a great idea, but you don't have all the skills. And so you're going to need to plug those gaps. And so one of the things that everybody basically mentioned was how grateful they were for teams, or for factories they work with, or for experts that have really lent their insight to their business. And the thing about our age and being at midlife is that we were brought up not in the habit of asking people for help. It doesn't feel very comfortable to ask people for help, but get into the habit, because most people are really happy to share their advice. And I've certainly had some amazing help from lots of people, whether it be my coaching mentor, whether it be people who've got businesses and can offer help, whether it be from my accountant. You need those people. So that's a number 1 takeaway. The second takeaway, many of the entrepreneurs I spoke to cited their well-being as a key factor in this kind of 3 things you've invested in that's been worth every penny. So it's whether or not they've invested in having a trainer, or they've invested in an osteopath because they've got issues with their back, or they've invested in having a massage every 6 weeks, or they've invested in taking themselves away for a break so they can mentally disconnect from what they're doing. I advocate for this all the time with my clients. You have to have strength and energy to run at the pace that we're running these days. And one of the reasons why I set up my own business was because I wanted to integrate more of this into my life. I really wanted to, balance is the wrong word, because I work really hard, but I want the choice. If I want to go for a run at 9 a.m. because it's a beautiful sunny day and start work at 11, so be it. That is what I'll do if I can that day. And I think a lot of them felt the same way. And in fact, a lot of the focus for many people starting their business was to create their world themselves, or be in charge and have the choice to do what they need to do. One person talked about the dog walk in the morning being an absolute priority, because it's when they got their best ideas. It's when they had a break away from their computer and they really needed the fresh air. And I get it. So that was really interesting. And then there were bits of tech that people really relied on, whether it's accounting software, whether it's social media tech, whether it's applications like Canva that can do the kind of creative aspects of their business that they'd discovered, they'd learned. None of this was available to us when we were younger. So if you're post 40, or particularly if you're post 50 now, these are all things you're going to have to learn. And that's a really key message that I wanted to share with everybody, is that if you are going to become an entrepreneur, or you've got a great idea that you want to get off the ground, get comfortable with upskilling because you're going to be doing it every 5 minutes. And I've felt a lot of discomfort going through the process of learning how to do this podcasting thing. And my dream, and if anybody's listening out there, would be to find somebody who'd be prepared to produce the show. Because I can't afford a producer, but I'd love somebody to come and do it for me. So there's a little wish, ding, it's out there for everybody to hear. But I've learned loads and I've enjoyed it. I've learned a lot about the producing and the editing and all of that, sound quality and mic quality, all of things that I never thought I'd need to know. But if I apply that to across every part of my business, I've had to learn everything. When you work in an office, something goes wrong on your computer and you call IT, and those amazing people come and help. When you're by yourself, you do everything by yourself. So you're going to have to get comfortable and curious, and YouTube is going to become your best friend, because every time something goes wrong, I am literally on YouTube trying to find an answer or somebody to show me how to do something. And if you're not somebody who enjoys that, then it'll be challenging. The other thing you need to get good at is marketing. Now, luckily, I come from a marketing background and I really enjoy that aspect of my business, but it is essential because if people don't know you're there, you're not going to get any work. So if you're not comfortable with social media or LinkedIn, and I completely understand why you wouldn't be, because it does feel vulnerable and it feels very exposing, it's not going to help you though. Creating a website alone is not going to send you clients. It's not going to create business, because nobody wakes up in the morning and just thinks, hey, let me find that website that I've never heard of. No one does that. They need somebody to prompt them to do it. And marketing is everything. So get comfortable with marketing. And all the people I've spoken to have definitely embraced that. Many of them don't feel comfortable on Instagram. So many of us don't. And particularly when you get to a certain age, we don't want to see our faces on screen. I don't love seeing my face on a screen. I just look at it, I'm like, oh my God, who's that old person looking back at me? But, you know, we need to use these free tools available to us. Why wouldn't we use them? So getting comfortable with all these things, really important. Asking for help, really important. Taking care of our well-being and our mental health, absolutely critical to be able to do this. And then you need a support network around you. You do. Whether it's your family or your friends or a group or a kind of network of people that you rely on, you need those people. You will draw on them many times. And even if it is just to grab somebody and go for a walk so you can decompress on whatever happened to you that day, those things are vital to be able to do this. The other thing that is just an amazing thing is everybody's story was so different. Anyway, enough said. I will be doing a season 2. I'm really enjoying the conversations. If no one's listening, I don't even care, because I'm learning so much from all these incredible people. I am going to continue to interview women for season 2. That is not to say that I won't be interviewing men. It's just that I have such a connection to these stories. They resonate so much for me that I'm going to continue to explore that for now. I've always been an advocate for women, and I am not a feminist who is anti-men. I love the interaction between all of us. I think that is what creates sort of harmonious workplaces. But for now, I'm going to focus on women, because I do think the midlife female story is fascinating. There is so much that we're juggling. And my actual job, a job that provides the roof over my head, is I'm a transformation coach. And I mainly work with people going through transitions or change. So into a really senior role, out of a really senior role, out of a senior role into entrepreneurship. And that's a lot of the work that I do. I generally work with senior women, and I find the stories so fascinating. What they are trying to manage at this age is a lot, and the mental load is a lot. So it makes sense to me, and it connects very strongly with the purpose of this podcast, is that if the mental load becomes too much, something has to change. Now, it's not that setting up a business is the best option, but it may be that managing and being in control of your time is going to allow you to balance, in inverted commas, your life more successfully than when you're at the mercy of your Outlook calendar. And I'm not saying you don't have to work as an entrepreneur. You work. But the difference is that the work that you're doing is entirely for you and the people you serve. Whereas quite often I think the work you're doing in the corporate space is for the business. And if the business isn't that grateful for the work, or if you're certainly not getting the recognition for the work and you're killing yourself doing it, then yeah, maybe you're doing it for the money, and that's fine too. But I think there comes a point in our lives, particularly around midlife, where values become quite important. And sometimes you can question that. What am I doing? Missing out on so much, my children or my family life or whatever it is. But yeah, it really resonates for me. So season 2 on its way. I would have started recording that when you hear this final episode, actually. So if anybody out there is a midlife entrepreneur and would be willing to share their story, or has a really interesting story to tell, or has a friend or a contact who you think would be great on the show and people would really benefit to listen to, then do get in touch with me. The details are in the show notes. And I really look forward to being back. Bigger, bolder, better, because I'll be getting better, hopefully, at interviewing, because that's my challenge too. It's not easy. I cannot wait to share more of the stories with you. And thank you so much for listening, for supporting. If you've got the time and you loved some of these episodes, please write a review. It means a lot. Take care. See you soon.